guys, today's tutorial is going to be a little different than what we normally do. It is a bit darker, but I hope you like it. So first we're going to start by taking some skin color clay, and first I condition it well and then smooth it out into a circular shape. Then to make it into a heart, I cut out the top with a razor. And then we're going to smooth it out till it turns into a heart shape. For this heart, I do like to keep it a bit more rounded. So the way that I would make it is different than from previous tutorials. You'll want to have it nice and thick so that you can add the details inside later. Next, I'm taking my chalk pastel palette and a paintbrush. You want a paintbrush that's nice and fluffy, and you're going to take some of the pigment to shade in your heart. And I'm using this reddish brown color and the yellowish ecru color to shade it in until it's the way that you like. Now I'm taking a needle tool and I'm going to trace out where the opening on the heart will be. And then afterwards we're going to cut it out with a different clay sculpting tool. Taking another tool with a rounded edge, I'm going to smooth out the inside of the heart. I'm taking small strips of black clay and smoothing it out inside the heart. I'm taking a small strip of foil that I have crumpled up and I'm pressing it against the clay where I would like to add texture. Next, we're going to be sculpting the skeleton, and I'm using just an off-white clay that we'll be shading in later with chalk pastel. And you can kind of watch in the video how I'm making it. I would recommend having a couple reference photos handy so you know how you'd like to make your skeleton. Reaching for the chalk pastel palette, we're going to be adding a little bit of color to the skeleton. Now I'm using my needle tool to add little indents, and we're going to be filling those in with very thin amounts of black clay and smoothing it out. We are adding a bit more texture where the indents are. I also add a couple more texture spots on other places of the heart. Next, we are dipping into the chalk pastel palette, and we're going to be adding some of the reddish brown and dark brown colors. I also add a little bit of the black chalk pastel as well. You'll see at the beginning of the video, there's a couple of these hearts that I've made. One of them has more black tones, and this one uses more reddish brown. So you can use as much or as little of each color as you'd like to give yours a different look. I'm taking some leftover eye pin wire and I'm using that to make little tiny staples. You can use any wire that you have that's similar in thickness to a regular staple. And I'm using my pliers to shape and cut it, and also to place them into the clay. And that is it. So now you're ready to put your clay in the oven and bake according to your clay package's instructions. Once it's done baking, I like to use a little bit of UV resin and mix that with some reddish brown chalk pastel. You can use a needle tool to mix it and to apply it to your project wherever you'd like. I would also like to mention, if you don't have UV resin, a couple other things you can use instead would be either liquid translucent clay or clear craft glue. You would mix the liquid medium with the chalk pastel, and liquid clay can be applied before you bake your project. Clear craft glue would be applied after. And if you use one of those, it will give you kind of a different look. That's why I'm using the UV resin, because it is more rounded and thicker once it dries. But those are a couple other options you can use too. And that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.